that anything I say about war are my opinions. You should take them as such and do not form a religion. I am not a diagnosing doctor. Uh, go see your own psychiatrist if you feel troubled after watching this video. Blah, blah. I think you'll be fine. I don't really know what I'm going to say yet, but it's better than talking to myself. And, oh gosh, here so I woke up. I'm going to tell you guys what happened. It's like 5:30. Very good. There's a little light coming in the window. I woke up. You guys want to see the little bit of light coming in through the window? Oh, you bad humored lot. It's the wrong way. There you go. What light through yonder window breaketh? Seems a bit of fun. No, I'm not liking that joking voice much. Now, whoa, what you want? Or what you say? How does it go? I got it wrong. Whoa, what you say? Or what's it good for? Nothing. You guys know the song I'm talking about? I'm down to 0 viewers again. There's a whole song in the 70s where this guy comes out and he's like, whoa, what you say? What's it good for? Or something like that. I can't remember it. You make fun all you want. It's a perfectly good song to start this with. I woke up at 4:30. I had a dream, and my son Phil, who died of a fentanyl overdose 3 years ago. It's weird. He was in the dream, but he was like someone else, but not completely. It's something that he does since he died. Like sometimes I'll look at the dog, and the dog looks like Philip, but like it looks like the dog still. There's something about the dog's facial expression, and so, or body mannerisms or something. And so sometimes I'll even see like a bird, perhaps a crow, and I'll think that crow looks a bit like Philip right now. So like I don't believe in seeing ghosts the way that other people like. People say I don't say that I don't see I don't say that I don't believe in seeing ghosts the way other people believe in it. I just believe in that way and a lot more. I just add more ways to it. And I don't really think they're ghosts. Okay, so let's get into that. Whoa, what you want? What's it good for? I don't know. I can't sing the song right. And you're not allowed to say ho. Anyway, that scared the person off again. One person keeps trying to show up, and I keep singing when they show up and they disappear. So we've stayed at 0 viewers and 0 thumbs up, and I may get all the way through this video just singing that song wrong and just scaring people off. Was I sent somebody coming? Whoa, what you say? Okay. All right. So where were we? So laying in bed, I was talking to myself until I said shit really loud, and I was like, oh no, that one my neighbor probably heard, and I was like, well, at least all they heard was the word shit. So hopefully the rest of the conversation was conversational enough, and when they heard the word shit, it was just like, well, she could have stubbed her toe. Hopefully she's not randomly yelling at the wall in the middle of the night. I just forgot that the neighbors were there. Whoa, what you want? What you say? What's it good for? Anyway. 9 people, 0 thumbs up. We lost just only one of them with that. Dang, you walked into a private joke. Anyways, it was just between me and me. And then now there's these 8 interlopers have shown up. 10, nay, yay, yet 10 interlopers have shown up this morning. Now I'm going to get my coffee and say nothing at all while I get off the bed. This is great. 13. Oh, there went my phone. That was the sound of all 13 of you crashing to the ground as my little voodoo doll this morning. I sleep on a high bed. It makes me feel so nice up here. I have to tell you that if you ever invest in the old you throw people off. Okay, that's wrong. Hold on. Look at, we made it down. Whoa! Nothing. No bricks. I'm in the restroom and I know that you cannot see or hear me right now because of where the phone's at and the door only being cracked, but you probably, well, you can hear me a little bit. So what happened was, oh yeah, the ghost thing. So to me, ghosts aren't, nobody really dies, but like, you know, then or I don't know what that even means. I mean, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? I don't know. So, where were we? Oh, I had a dream where there was this, like, people talking and everything, and one of the people talking was this one guy, but he looked like my son Philip in the dream. My son Philip died like 3 years ago. And then I woke up, and I was like, Philip. I thought of Philip, and I was like, I love him. And then I started to cry, and then I started to remember some things about him that made me mad. And then I got really mad. And then I said, if you had never been fertilized, you would have never been able to kill yourself. You would have always been my egg. Because you did that, I know that you were already you, and more, before that nasty old sperm got to you. So we're just going to pretend you were never fertilized. And people will say, that's terrible. And I'll go, yep. I don't care what you say. That's what is this? This page is a brief denial bargaining. I mean, you're going to expect me to like get angry and all this other shit. And I'm supposed to be like not bargaining and grieving because I'm getting angry. I think that my severe state of anger is going to be willing to delete you over this. And to keep you always as my egg is actually more of a state of love than other people's states. Retroactive abortion. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a great idea. From there, the topic descended into, shit, what did we go to next? Quite literally, because I am taking a shit at the top. Where did it go? I know, that guy who used to be married to Angelina Jolie, he plays this character who takes a shit and brings a paper. I can't remember. Okay, so... one thing you can do if you're not sure how to humiliate people in your own mind to just get them off their high horse is you have to imagine them really carefully pushing it out. As long as you imagine a person really carefully pushing a shit out, I mean carefully, giving that little trick baby some freedom, that you setting it free to the toilets. It'll cure a lot of shit. Like, I was reading this letter this guy wrote to Marilyn Monroe where he got his son an autobiography. By writing to her, this, like, it was just really well written, but one of the things he wrote in there is, he was like, I'm pretty sure that my son is not aware that you use the restroom or have certain bodily functions. And I was reading it and I was like, oh man, I forgot about that. I used to use that on people all the time. Why did I forget? I'm using it again. The guy's letter to Marilyn Monroe reminded me that I used to walk around, and if people gave me the old disturbo, I wouldn't pretend. If I remember to do it, I don't pretend to see you in your underwear necessarily. Like the general consensus, it's take them to the toilet. Watch them take a shit in micro detail. Their emotions about every little push, and have them do it very carefully. So if people were asked me psychically, one way to deal with that. So a psychic harasser or a group of, perhaps this is how you get the group of gang stalkers, the psychic gang stalkers to work for you, is you just imagine they're really carefully taking a shit. Every little precious little expression as they push that dirt out. Now, when you imagine this on different people, what's going to happen is you're going to get different responses. And you will not believe me until you do it. So let's do it together. Think of a friend in school. Someone perhaps you didn't like. I don't have a friend in school I didn't like. So you're going to be hard pressed. What about your sister? You didn't. Okay, my sister. She's my sister. She's not a classmate, but you're right. Okay. I know it's terrible. Not only did I like the other kids, I didn't like them, like obsessively like them. I wasn't like, I like you, but I didn't dislike them either. So yeah, I can't really use the classmates very easily. No. They're interesting too. They're interesting. It's not like, I like you. It's like interesting. Like you could sit back and watch them. Like, no. No. That's not. You think of the guy who you had a problem with. I'll think of my sister. And then what you do is you take examples. Let's think of somebody who's given you a problem since you've been an adult then. Famous musician. As you roll through these people, what's going to happen is some of them are going to be on the toilet and they're just going to like still toilet, still having their little turd. It's not really going to change much of anything. In fact, they're not even going to be surprised that you're watching. They don't even care. Like Angelina's ex-husband in that movie. Other people, when you use your imagination station to put them on the toilet, they get a look like, what? Now those are the ones. There's your target. Armageddon. When you see them on the street, visualize every micro detail of them taking a shit. Only the people who have the response in your imagination station where they go, what? That's it. Not the other ones. Not the other ones. Because it's not going to be any fun. Where am I going with this? You don't. Okay, so it went from a dream about my dead son to the fairies. A common topic. So at 4:30 in the morning, it was my dead son. At By about 450, the topic had moved to why fairies have become invisible to the general public, using a Native American story to highlight that probably could be the reason why it's everywhere. Who knows? So the story goes that these natives had dogs, and this dog, the fairies used to be visible to the natives in North America, just like in many places of the world, and pretty much everywhere at one point. And so think of the fairies as another race of people that just decided to become invisible. All right, now, the dog of the guy, because, you know, dogs can see fairies and shit like that. Everybody knows that. Shredded one of the fairies' babies, one of their children. Killed it. Mauled it to death. And the fairies went to the tribe, and first they asked the guy if he would put his dog down. And he said no. And so they went to the chief and the people, and they said no, they wouldn't make him. Nobody was going to make him put his dog down. And so the fairies said, you won't see us anymore. We're going invisible because you would not put the dog down for mauling a fairy child. So the story goes that there's invisible people all over this entire world. We think we're the primary humanoid species, but because we're not willing to put dogs down when they attack children, they're now invisible to us. Some of us. Sometimes. Have you ever heard the old adage that they turn God into a dog? If you have an emergency, when I was a child, my mom would say, if anyone ever tries to kidnap you, don't bother screaming kidnapper because they'll never come. She said, scream fire. If you scream fire, people run immediately. If you scream stranger danger, people are very hesitant, but if they think there's a fire. So in the 80s, they would say, if you're a child, they would actually tell, my mom thought she was super smart. She was like, just say scream fire. Do not say like kidnapper. Don't say bad guy. Don't say whatever. She said, if you really have a crisis, scream fire. People will come. They'll call the police. Though the fire people, the investigators will usually show up. It's the same thing with dogs. Anything a human will do to a dog, they will do to another human, right? Yeah? So if someone would torture a dog, they torture a human. If you torture a fairy, you torture a human. If you torture any, like, a little creature, another humanoid, you torture a human. If you torture a human, you torture a human. But the interesting thing, though, is if you tell people that there's a child abuser on the loose, it's like, yeah, everybody's got Uncle Joe. But if you tell them there's someone in your neighborhood who fucks with dogs, they'll mount up a posse and get their pitchforks lickety split. I ain't against no pitchfork wielding mob going after dog messers. But why don't we have pitchfork wielding mobs about child abuse? It's just like my mom said when I was a kid. She said, don't scream stranger danger. She said, scream fire. If you're in the if you're walking in an apartment complex and you see there's some problem, if you start screaming fire, fire, like no matter what, even if somebody pulled you in an apartment, there's a high chance that the fire department and the police will come out soon. She said, no matter what happens. So like if you're a child being abused, you're better off telling the general public that your abuser, framing them for harming dogs.
So like if you're a small child on planet Earth and you're literally being harmed, if you had the ability to do it and you wanted to get the person in big trouble, you just set PETA, the organization for animal advocates, and those guys would be fucking shut the fuck down. You just frame them for you frame them for something else. I thought about it. This is what happened. So this is what got me on the second kick come 4:40 a.m. was the fairies disappearing, which leads me to another thought even right now. A few months ago, I had the experience of staying at the Motel 6 in 29 Palms, California. Actually, it is very clean. And I will tell you that going to the Motel 6 in 29 Palms, California at 6 a.m. when they put the coffee and this huge pitcher of ice with like this like fruit essence stuff that they like take orange rinds and they like twirl them up and squeeze them and drop them in, and they like it's super clean, and then they put coloring books out for you and crayons and a little cutout from coloring books anyway, and they're all stacked where you can see them all on the wall, and then they'll talk to you while you color and have your coffee. I mean, it's like when I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, like, you know, this is at least $120 a session. If I was in Hollywood or somewhere else, they would be charging now. It would be more than that. The coloring, plus they're giving you counseling, and then other people come in and give you little supportive. I was like, this is easily maybe $160, $220 worth of therapy right here. Then what did it cost for the room? Like $55. These women are more overqualified in the field than the people with the doctorates in some cases. And the ones behind the desk. I'm not fucking around. And they don't even have to say much. Their mere presence. They don't really even say a lot. They don't need to. And so anyways, back to the Motel 6. When I was in the Motel 6, okay, rabbit trail. We're going to do 2 rabbit trails before we come back to the original, not original rabbit trail that brought us to this one. The 2 rabbit trails are that there was a fire in the woods. One of my other children moved back in after my other kid killed himself. And essentially, I ended up moving around for a little while to try to find another place to live. And it was very destabilizing. And it was terrible. And even if you get 10 grand from your fire insurance to displace you and your life is displaced, like we can go back to the mountains, but the whole thing everything was just went to shit in some ways. But I'm sure it was just as good in others. Every dark cloud has a silver lining. Every silver cloud has a dark lining. I mean, 6 of one, 7 of the other. In a baker's dozen anyway. It's not 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So every place I went, I would get a different feeling about war. And I've got to tell you that in 29 Palms, California, there is such a patriotic vibe of war in the landscape. They would really love to go to war. When those Marines are out there chanting about going to war, I think they mean it. They would love a good patriotic war. Oh, I think it's a good idea, generally speaking. Whatever people are doing in their houses is much worse than what's getting done in war, but it's not like man on man. So at least we can turn it into a sport and watch it, you know. No wonder all the like, it's always the comos that are like, oh, just give peace a chance. We don't want no war. And everybody else is like, Armageddon. Hopefully there'll be a war soon. what people are doing to their home inside their homes is always worse than what they're doing in a war. By the time anything escalates to a war, think of it like a zit. Think of the human race and the earth as like a body almost. And think of war as like a place where there was a zit underneath the surface for some time, or a caldera, and that it just built up so much pressure that it was more painful to keep it in. And they lanced it. And that when you see the fighting all of men, it means that the wound has been lanced, so the patient will live, most likely. So I mean, like, why would you be against war? In fact, if you do a little history, the most horrible crimes against humanity historically are done during times of peace. They did excavations on Chaco Canyon in the American Southwest in the Four Corners region, and it is no different from, in my opinion, from what they found in Turkey, what they found in the Middle East in archaeological digs, and what they find in other places, which is during times of peace, people are brutalizing and killing their own children. They're eating other people. They're lashing people's feet so they can't run from their slavery. They're taking appendages off. They're torturing people psychologically in ways you can't even think of. And that's what happens during a time of peace. So it's like, do you want man on man conflict, or do you want coward on fucking vulnerable conflict? Real men want war. That's why I like to imagine that's the reason why the guys out in the Marine base are singing those songs about how they want to march off to war. Even if you never go to war, the entire time, you'll be singing those songs. Every day, hoping you're going off to war. It's a good sentiment. Gets a kid somewhere out of a closet. Maybe some of them soldiers, maybe even some of them soldiers are abusing their own kids, and it gets them off to war too. So who cares, right? So, so like basically, get them where you can see them. Whoa, what you want? What you say? What's it good for? It's because humans are always at war. So when they're saying peace, the kind of war they're waging is so bad and so underhanded that you don't want to know about it. Because there's no purview, there's no ability for the people to report. What do you mean? There's a song by Crass. Is it Crass? Yeah. Is it Crass? It might not be Crass. And I think the Dead Kennedys covered it too. They're talking about the famous people, and they're like, they're saying banned from the Roxy. Okay. You guys know where the Roxy is, right? Never liked to play there anyway. They said they only wanted well-behaved boys. Do they think guitars and amplifiers are just fucking toys? Fuck them. Chosen to make my stand against what I feel is wrong with this land. Just sit there on their overfed ass, feeding on the sweat of the less fortunate class. Think they got their power because the fingers on the gun got control, won't let it be forgotten. Right? And he goes on and he says, he starts talking about the guys who get famous, and he says, yeah, the shit they get. Only the government knows what it's for. And he says, but he says, you know what? He says, but the children are lying in the slaughterhouse for the shit they get. Like pieces of meat, children lying in a slaughterhouse, shit they get in a time of peace. Or go enlist in the military, go march it off, go pray for war. better than what's going on in people's closets. Where was I going next? Oh, also in 29 Palms. When I was staying at the hotel, there was times when I would get a vibe because I was there. I did this hotel thing for like a couple months at least. I and essentially I would wake up in the night in the hotel, and I still talk to my therapist about it. I would wake up in my room and I would get this sense like there was things going on in in some of the hotel rooms, like one or two of them. Maybe like not every night, but like once a month, a couple times a month, something little things go on in the hotel rooms like something really bad. I would just sense it like something like I think that after staying in the Motel 6, my belief intuitively is that organizations that traffic people and harm children and do really weird shit that don't want to ever have their house forensically scrubbed just go get hotel rooms under a fucking alias and clean it up as best as they can to where the hotel staff doesn't think anything and leave, and then there's no way to ever really forensically trace it back to them. Because I would get vibes from the motel about once a month that were so bad. So maybe a couple times, 2, 3 times when the time I was there, between the Motel 6 in Palm Springs and the one in 29, I got a vibe that was like it wasn't even as bad in Palm Springs. I never got one in Palm Springs that was as bad, to be honest with you, as two that I picked up on in 29 Palms in the motel. And that'll make you want to go to war even more. Let me tell you that. It'll make you want open warfare. Because if you sense there's stuff going on in people's hotel rooms that are that bad, not all the time, but even just sometimes, I started coming up with plots. Like, how could you get someone in trouble if you thought that there was something going on in another hotel, but you had no external evidence, another room? How could you get them in trouble? What could you do? So I started thinking about it. Now, I'm not going to do it. The disclaimer, I'm not going to actually do this, but I started thinking, how could you get these child abusers in trouble? And I was like, all right, you could, and I'm not really doing this, but let's just say you had a lot of money, all right, and an organization. You could hire a bunch of people to go check out each one of the rooms in the hotel over the period of a month. You could install recording devices. You could then also install 2 to 3 different types of noisemakers that can be activated by remote control that give off sounds that would create the interest of the local law enforcement. Don't really do this in real life. Then it would take a lot of money too. And you would know if I'd done it. Let's just say that. So like, then what you do is you buy some pig's blood. You buy bags of pig's blood. You put it in the air conditioning units to where they're installed in there, and they're not going to blow unless you hit a remote control button, and then also some underneath the beds, and perhaps if you can find another location. What you do is you have like an AI program that scans the video footage of the people's rooms, and if it's just normal behavior, it just doesn't alert you. If the AI is programmed that if it notices any child abuse or human trafficking, it notifies a human panel, and you have like about 10 people who have to watch the footage at the same time live. And if it's bad, then what you do is you trigger the device, the sound making device that makes it sound like there's really loud sounds like machine guns or something. We won't say machine guns, something else that would be sound that would bring people out but will not hurt anybody. Then you blow up all the balloons of pig's blood so that blood is just coming out of the air conditioning onto the walkway. Blood's coming out from under their door. And there's crazy loud sounds coming from inside the room. And then all you do is you just call the police anonymously. Oh my God, there's these crazy sounds, and other people are going to call the police too. Then when the police come out, they're going to see like there's fucking, they won't know it's pig's blood yet. They're going to see like pig's blood all over the walkway. And then they're going to be like, they have to knock on the door now because like anytime there's just random just blood rushing everywhere. And then they're going to open the door, and then they're gonna have to like, can we see? Then they're gonna see there's blood all over the floor because all the remote controlled bags of pig blood blowed up, and you're gonna be like, the police are gonna be like, we have to see all the people here to see if they're okay, and they're gonna have to take them in on abuse, regardless. Like if there's something going on, there's gonna be so many fucking witnesses standing around. If they find somebody abused in that room, that person's gonna get taken in. So what I realized is it's just like when I was little, my mom would say, if you ever have a stranger danger, don't yell stranger danger, yell fire. Or like if there's a guy in your, if you're a person who's being abused, and they really are doing bad things to you, the truth is probably no one will get them in trouble for that. But if you could stir up rumor around town that they hurt dogs in the way they hurt you, they might just have a lynch mob on them. Likewise, if you think there's someone who's abusing kids in a motel, if you wanted to get them in trouble, you'd have to frame them using pig's blood and sound makers to get them in trouble for something else. Likewise, if you knew someone you really didn't like, sometimes the only thing you can do is the IRS. Sometimes you got to get them for something that the public doesn't like. Not what you don't like. Because the public's not going to join your mob unless it's something they don't like. And how dirty are you willing to play? Then I thought, well, if we're going to talk manipulation, Machiavellian strategies, then I would just use my psychic powers to frame people. Why bother with the computer? Good idea, Self. What will be our first move now that we have this super secret mission and nobody knows about it? Except for the 4 people watching and the 2 that gave thumbs up. I did, Wolf. He said they ain't coming back for more. He has to say in it. Oh my gosh. Yesterday I was just thinking about A Tale of Two Men. My biological father went to the Vietnam War. And he came back really messed up, apparently. But my adoptive father, who's like who he said was his best friend, was he didn't never got officially called a draft dodger, but he tried every which way, and when that didn't work, he faked a car accident and one of those like sprained necks or whatever until they finally gave up on him. He said, "Look at me. I'm like 5'5". I'm a little musician, like, and a talker. You don't want me out there on the battlefield." Yeah, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Woody told me that when the Vietnam War came, they kept trying to get him to go, and he kept doing everything. Like he wrote letters, he looked up every loophole, and when he exhausted every option, and they were going to try and send him anyways, he rolled his car and said he got in an accident that could never quite be proven, but not disproven either. And so they gave up on him. He never went to war. Whoa, what you want? So how are you going to get those people? Those are the ones you're trying to send, and they're going to do the same thing as your dad. You're right. Dang, you're right. Hold on. I hear a lot of talking. Who's talking about It's fine. It's pleasant. It's pleasant talking. I heard talking in the distance, and I went and opened my window. And I just have to warn you that I do like gay men, not sexually, but just like just some people like this, some people like that. And I know they're not perfect. I know that they can be grouchy. I kind of find that cute though when they're grouchy, but not as long as there's no car accidents caused by it. So I heard this like this like talking outside, and I was like, so I cracked my window, and the U-Haul's out there, and somebody's moving into one of the apartments, and I heard this like pleasant talking. Like usually when you hear men talk, it doesn't sound pleasant. It sounds like and so I was like, what is this pleasant sound talking? This pleasant sound of male talking. And I was like, ah, 'tis a gay man. That's why he sounds pleasant. Because there's a more frolicking sound to the voice. Just a little more liveliness. Anyways, sometimes I think that the people who are religious would get super mad about this, but sometimes I don't want to, and I don't want to turn it into a religious thing, but then sometimes I get tempted. The rainbow flag. If you are such a believer in this all-powerful God, and the rainbow is his promise to not flood the world again and not destroy it by water again, why has your God not intervened with the gay people and the LGBTQ using the rainbow as their flag? Because they're clearly saying that they are the very same reason that the world was not completely destroyed in a flood and why it will not be destroyed with water next time. Your God has not made an argument about this. And yet, there are people in these very same religions who have a problem with people being gay. The very religions that teach the rainbow is the sign of God saying that he is going to have mercy and not kill everybody off, supposedly, with water. Whether it's merciful or not, I mean, we can get into the ifs and ands or buts. Every dark cloud, silver lining, silver cloud, dark lining. But the promise that the world would not be destroyed with water yet again is the rainbow. If that God is all powerful, he clearly could have stopped them from using the flag, and he has no problem with it. Hence, I see it as an open admission from, I don't know what I see it as, but sometimes I think like, sometimes I'm not religious, but I have a moment and I think, I can kind of see it. Because I have times I feel so mad at the world and the multiverse that I go, oh, we could just burn the whole thing to shit. Destroy everything. Then I'll see a few gay people and I'll be like, it's all right. No, it's okay. I still kind of want to destroy it, but we'll put it off for another split second. Now I'm crying. Because, there's that lady who cries about loving cats, and she's like, I just love all the cats, and I just think of the cats. Sometimes I feel like I just love the gay people. And just think of the gay people. It'll be okay. No, now I'm really crying. I'll talk to you guys later.